Welcome to the Business Legends Podcast, where we interview business leaders and entrepreneurs so that you can learn from their successes, become inspired, and meet the people that make change happen. I'm the host of the show, Reese Arlen, along with my co-host, Christian Webb. Say hello, good morning.
Hello. It's been a long time coming. We finally got Vijay on the show.
Finally got Vijay. It took like 7 months, but we're just begging and pleading. Today we are accompanied by Batman and Robin, or as I like to refer to them, Vijay Bhojwani and Kenny Nicolaitis from Binaco. And guys, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, we have two people today, so usually we get to pick on one person at a time. But man, it's been a great time getting you guys on the show and a good conversation already this morning. So for our listeners, we like to do a little introduction. Tell us a little bit about Binaco and how you guys got into business and what you guys do.
Sure. Binaco is a family company, family real estate development company that started back in 1977. Started as a clothing venture. That's how the family got started into the entrepreneurial business or the entrepreneurial world.
Clothing venture.
Yeah,
I did not know this.
Yeah, my dad was.
Well, you guys still have some Binaco through.
I thought after sharing lunch with you, I knew everything.
Yeah.
No, you know. So that's the best part, and that's what makes it fun. The difference of what people see now versus what they really know. I guess that's the whole point of this. Is how did you make it? What were the steps and the stones that you stepped on to get where you are. And that was my education. Dad started in the custom clothing world where he traveled from overseas measuring high execs for custom suits. And that was how he kind of went back and forth from overseas to America. Eventually he was able to fully move with my mom here. They moved to New York City, Queens, actually. LaFrock City, is that how they say it in New York with the accent?
LaFrock.
So they moved to Queens, where they continued the path in the clothing venture. My dad worked for a company where he wholesaled clothes. Then my mom joined him. She actually went and got a job at MetLife, which was the most funniest story. We still tease her about that. She used to light her boss's cigar. So we tease her about it.
Yeah,
all
it's like
the
Mad
time.
Men stuff.
Yeah. So not to make the story long.
Well, real fast, I have a question about your dad's
Sure.
story. So you said he was basically helping high executives pick out their clothing, custom clothing, etc.
Yeah.
So do you feel like he secretly was doing that on purpose to make connections at a high level so that he could help your family advance?
I think he was doing it because that's kind of what the family did back home. Now coming over here, obviously was learning and seeing the ways. The people he was measuring were obviously that came from better backgrounds. Because they're able to afford these custom suits back in those days. My dad moved here with $8 in his pocket.
Wow.
Barely could speak English. He didn't even know how to turn on the water in certain hotel rooms and how to even ask for toilet paper. He didn't know much of anything,
Wow.
Was educated to the best of what he could back in those days. So English was, forget even second language, it might have been no language, when he moved here.
When I hear those stories, I'm just mind blown.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you see, and that's what you learn, and then you kind of compare it to what you have now, the opportunities, and you're like, man, how'd they make it? How'd they make it?
I don't even remember how to get places without GPS at this point. You know, and I couldn't even imagine being thrust into a culture where I didn't. It's not that I didn't speak the language; I didn't speak a word of the language.
So what year was this?
This was 1974, 5.
So we're in the 70s, which definitely wasn't great for anyone that wasn't American.
Right.
100%.
And then you have also coming and starting a business, or actually working with high executives, communicating with them to grow his reputation with no English.
That's crazy.
That's still part of the family business, by the way. Clothing is still a big part of our family. We have a big family here in the United States now. Overseas, they still do the custom. So my suits are still getting made in Hong Kong until today, the shirts and everything. But moving along, I mean, he took, the the place he worked, the wholesaling, he did well with it. You know, he was the inspiration, right? He had the fire, he had the challenging mentality, you know, and he always had the, if they can do it, I can do it, even though I can't speak English. So he took, you know, whatever product he had, he started running routes with it, where he started traveling. You know, he took the clothes and he wholesaled all the way down the East Coast, all the way to Florida. You know, that's kind of where Charlotte, you know, comes into play, because it's exactly the midpoint from New York to Florida with Charlotte. And they would come here and they had, you know, clients here they would sell clothes to, and then, you know, move down and continue selling. In time, he quickly learned that Charlotte didn't have, or there was a void for the retail sector. He was selling urban clothing, you know, to the urban world. And Uptown Charlotte, for the ones who not originally from Charlotte, it was a big shopping arcade. It was the place where you go shopping, especially in the urban market. So that's where the retail side came in, you know, and that's pretty much the time when I was born. You know, my sister was born in '76 in New York. My parents moved to Charlotte in '77, and I was born in Presbyterian Hospital in downtown in '78.
Wow.
You know, so I was literally born into the world of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Into a clothing store, selling clothes, you know, to the masses of Charlotte.
Yeah.
You know, our first store was right on 5th and Tryon. That's why there's such a big love for that street, and why we have so much property there today. So our first store is right on the corner of 5th and Tryon, where the Blumenthal Theater sat.
Yeah.
You know, that
was the goal to own the whole corner?
The goal was. The goal is.
Yeah.
You know, as much as we can. But we started the Binaco clothing store. It was right on 5th and Tryon. And, you know, at that time, you know, my dad was able to help the other family members move here, and a lot of the family members came here, and they all were part of this big family business. The clothing stores started multiplying from 1 to 3 to 5 to 15 to 18 to 20, 25, and we're up to almost 33 stores at one point in all the different regions of Charlotte. You know, I've seen downtown Shelby and downtown Monroe and these places before they even became or what they are now. You know, I've worked in every sector of the city, you know, in probably a 30-mile radius. I've been in every town working and meeting people.
What's your favorite?
I'm
not judging you, but the answer is Mooresville. Just kidding.
So we never made it to Mooresville.
Oh, okay,
Mooresville was not even on it. It was more like the Rock Hills, the Lancaster.
Farmland.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monroe. I still see people that I sold clothes to as a child.
Wow.
And they walk up to me and they're like, dude, you look the same.
Wow.
We used to buy clothes from you when we were young.
That's crazy.
I get it all the time.
Yeah.
When they see the name,
they'll recognize the brand uptown a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
They see the name and they're like, oh man, you guys are still around. And I was like, yeah.
So what was the next step after clothing? So it seemed like clothing was like the trampoline and a long process to get up to 33 stores. So what came next?
So clothing was our world, right? This is what kind of taught us everything we know, or the world of negotiation. You know, you learn everything in customer service, you know, impulse decision making, you know, problematic, like just everything you can imagine happens in a clothing world. We worked our butt off, you know, that was another lesson, you know, where this is your priority. We worked in the malls, you know, 9 to 9, 7 days a week, you know. Back then you hated it, you know, you were like, this is the worst thing ever. Today, you'll never trade it for anything because it's the best education you ever got in your life.
Sure.
You know. Where we learned real estate was when we started getting pushed out of places because of the development in Charlotte, you know.
Interesting.
So take it 26 years ago, you know, our first lesson was the first store I told you we had on 5th and Tryon, where Blumenthal was. You know, when Bank of America decided to build a structure there, they pushed everybody out of there. That was first priority before or over anything. Oh, we have to have this building here. So all these little stores
pushed right out.
had to go. And you basically took what they gave you and you're gone.
Yeah.
You know, no one had any education at that time. You know, did you want an agent? an agent for
Yeah.
what? Like, what does the agent do?
Right.
You know, no one knew anything about that. You know, so that was, you know, one of the first lessons. You know, but when my dad's entrepreneurial, you know, mindset, he took that money, he went and bought another property right away across the street. So we owned the corner where Capitol Grill sat at one point. So I've done all four corners.
Yeah,
there.
you really have.
Yeah.
And then you landed on the other one.
On the other one, but I lived in Ivy's, which is diagonal,
Yeah.
for 25 years. So
Yeah.
I literally owned.
That is your corner.
Yeah,
It's your corner.
You know, all four corners. So same thing. You know, where Capitol Grill sits now, we did a little bit better over there. We were a little bit more educated. We knew at some point we're gonna get pushed, so let's learn it a little bit. And when I say us, primarily my dad, I was still maybe 12, 13 at the time, working in the clothing stores. So he went out and learned a little bit of this. The real shift happened when my sister got educated. My sister's a year and a half older than me. You know, she did very well in school, graduated early, went to Queens College, you know, eventually graduated from UNC or Charlotte. And she looked at me one day and she was like, we're not doing this clothing mess. Like, we're burned out.
Yeah.
The money
Don't
was
9 to
great.
9.
Don't get me
Sure.
wrong. Money's still great in clothing. You know, it's still great. She just wasn't having it. You know, she's like, I can't do this anymore. You know, this is too much. So she decided to go and get her mortgage license or brokerage license. We were very well connected in our community, in the Indian community, because at that point, you know, the Indian community was small. Everyone kind of stuck together. All the entrepreneurs, the people. We helped build a temple on Independence Boulevard, right behind the Lexus dealership, and there was like our home base where we would, you know, hang out with the other Indians. So with the mortgage office or brokerage, we knew if we started this that, you know, we would at least get support from them first. You know, this is kind of all leading into where we are now. You know, so we started the mortgage company on the second floor of Conley's, and you guys have been to Conley's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Our mortgage office was on the second floor.
Wow.
So we were able in between. I should probably.
This is so crazy to me.
It's
because
crazy.
I've been to all these places.
You've been to all these places that I
like
have.
a billion times.
Yeah.
And
You would never know
Yeah. Well, now I do, but
what
you
it
know.
was before.
Yeah.
Going back 2 steps. So one of the first buildings that we ever bought was obviously help with one of a banker friend of my dad's who actually gave him an opportunity at First Citizens Bank, was to give him a loan on a handshake to actually buy the Conley's building. You
Wow.
know, we never thought in our life, you know, we put a little bit of money aside that he had saved, and, you know, they matched the rest, and we were able to buy the Conley's building, you know, where we created our mortgage office on the top, and then we had our first tenant ever, Tyson's Beauty Supply, who's still here in Charlotte, and their kids have taken over. The next generation, they're doing excellent. You'll see the stores around. So that was our first tenant. We started the mortgage company. Sure enough, the first 25 customers were people from our temple. You know, and they were a mixture of doctors and entrepreneurs and gas station owners and laundromat owners that didn't know how to get a loan, or they weren't comfortable going to a bank and getting a loan because they still didn't know. Half of those people didn't speak English either.
Wow.
You know, so my sister started paper pushing and got really good into the mortgage world, and did that for about 2 years. I was growing and almost graduating high school at the time, and I just didn't have a passion for education. At that time, 10th, 11th grade, I was probably making more money than all my teachers' salaries combined in
Wow.
the clothing world. So
Just didn't
I had
make
no
sense.
respect. Not even respect. I shouldn't say that. I didn't care for the education. It was like, this is not me.
Yeah. You were learning in the School of Hard Knocks while they were.
Yeah,
You know.
I was learning.
they were
I
teaching
was
math
selling
and
clothes
science.
to everybody in the school. I was selling clothes to my teachers. I was doing. The principal of North Mech used to come to my house and borrow our boats and jet skis, and like I had everything kind of work. I was working a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
You know, school was like, this is a business for me now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let me see how I can graduate without having to even take a test.
Yeah.
You know, that was my mindset at the time. But I was inquisitive. right? And I said, the goal is to work for corporate America. I used to see people walk around downtown with the cool suits on and the laptop bags and the pager, and I was like, man,
Pager.
this guy only has to work, Monday through Friday, and he can give a damn what happens, after 5 o'clock. He's off on the weekends, where I'm in the mall 9 to 9 every weekend, and I said, I have to try this. Like, I have to try this. So I told my sister, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. She goes, what are you going to do? You're a senior now. What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't think I want to go to school. And that's a really big, like we talked about earlier. In our culture, if you don't get educated, you're not on the radar anymore. Like, oh my God, spoiled kid, dad's money.
He's obviously not doing anything.
He's not doing any shit.
Yeah. Which is crazy because you're working 9 to 9 too. I don't think there's anything spoiled about that at all.
So, obviously in my head, I knew I had to prove him wrong. I had to do something. I basically chose the dark side or the hard path, and so what are you going to do now? Half your other family members are going to school. Your sister was highly educated. I was like, there's no way I can beat what she did. She graduated at 19 years old. She's killing it. So I said, okay, cool. So I applied for a job. It was crazy. I applied for a job at Duke Energy at 18 years old. They were doing a Windows rollout. Windows had just put a new operating system out, and they just needed heads, to help roll out. They give you a instruction manual, and you just type these few commands, and then it'll load itself. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna try this. I gotta go work in corporate America. I need to see what it's about, So they hired me at 18 years old. I was probably one of the youngest guys working in there. I worked at Duke Energy in downtown. I was that guy that I dreamt to be. I was wearing the Dockers, the polo shirt, the pager. I had the laptop, and I worked my way up. And I said, this is also in my head. I was like, this is how you get, you be corporate America by you become friends with everybody. At that point, Conley's I have to tell you that story of how even Conley started. They kind of all worked simultaneously of how Conley's was born, and then I was still working. I was still a teenager, right? So I was learning that life, right? I was learning that life. At the same time, we had the office. My sister was doing mortgages. My sister at the same time was trying to get me to come back to work into the family company because she's like, I know you can't do this. Like, there's no way you can come to work and be there at 8 a.m. every morning. Like, you're not used to somebody telling you what you just kind of do what you do. So a lot of things happen, right? In the world of entrepreneurship, like, when it rains, it pours. Like, you get opportunities, or some days you don't get anything come your way, right? So you're trying to figure out what to do. I loved that life. But when I started getting those paychecks, I was like, man, this is not cutting it.
Yeah. You can make more selling clothes.
I can't have the BMW. I can't have
But
until
you got the Dockers.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to Belk's buying. It was Hex back then. Buying Dockers.
Isn't it amazing what we not look up to, but you're not that. You're already doing better than that. You look at it and you go, I wonder if that's better. I wonder if that's more comfortable. I wonder if that's something I haven't had.
We get that question today, right? We get that question on a daily basis, of half the guys I hang out with, are all in the finance world, and I get asked that all the time. They're like, how do you do it, man? We want to do what you do. First question I ask them is, how many hours do you work? Oh man, I can't do this 9 to 5 shit anymore. I got to do. I said, bro, you know how many hours I work? Like, you might not see it. All you see me do is hanging out here with you. This is still work.
Yeah.
I said, it's 24 hours a day.
I think that's something that a lot of people that are not in the entrepreneurial world don't understand is that, we might have fun networking events, for instance. I might see you at Havana at 11 o'clock on a Friday, but what are you doing there? It's not like you're just there having laughs and stuff. I mean, you're talking business. I mean, you're representing yourself and your business,
It's 24 hours a day, I mean, not to jump around, but just side note, I mean, people ask me all the time, what is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? You have a lot of stuff going on. I said, yeah, I do. I said, I usually get up and I probably have 40 emails and about 25 texts. And it's the first thing I have to kind of filter through first.
I check my emails while still wearing my boxers in my bed.
Yeah.
Like
so do
I grab it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I know the feeling.
that's like the first taste of what your day is going to be about. And so I usually filter through that.
I've never thought about that before, but you're so right. Like,
Sets up your
because
day.
we do that too. Like you look at it and you're like, oh God, here we go. Like, you know,
here we go.
mentally
you know?
preparing yourself. You know.
And at the same token, if I get up and there's no emails and no texts, now it's even more of a worry.
Oh yeah.
You're doing something wrong.
Shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. You can say whatever you want. It's business
I was
legend,
like,
but
oh shit! Like, I literally turn around. I call my wife. I'm like, call my phone.
Yeah.
Call my phone.
Yeah.
Is it working? Send me an email.
Yeah.
This can't be true.
Paranoia.
So, does it ever stop? You know, this is the debate. You know, we have all the time. You know, when will it stop? You know, is it going to stop? I said, it can't.
Yeah.
You just can't make it stop.
And then you get addicted to it though.
Love it.
Yeah, because I mean, I think about it. I think about it not all the time, but like randomly. Like I'll see an open position on LinkedIn or something. It'd be like $250,000 for senior marketing director, and I'm like, I could get that job easy. And I'm like, no, I don't want to work for anyone. but I remember when I first started, I was like, I want to work my own hours.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's not how that works.
I tell people, there's, like we talked about earlier in the cafe, like, can you teach somebody how to do this? It's not so much of teaching them versus kind of giving them a taste for it. Like, this is what it takes. Like, you have to be self-motivated. You have to get up in the morning and want to go to work. You have to love what you do. I tell my son, he's 18 years old. He's about to come into the workforce. And, you know, we have this in our house all the time because I have a full-time corporate America person living with me, which is my wife, and then I have a total slick entrepreneur that's on the other end, and you know, he sees both sides. You know, and I asked him, I said, well, what do you think you want to do, or what do you like doing? You know, and he's like, well, I like both. I said, okay, we'll try both.
Yeah.
You know, and I teach him, I show him what I do, she shows him, you know, what she does, and you know, we try to give him a taste for both sides, and then it's like, what's going to get you up in the morning? You know, what is going to make you go to work even though you're sick? What's going to make you think about even though you're in Miami right now, you know, riding around in a Lamborghini or whatever, but you're still looking at your phone at cameras, making sure that at least the first visual looks correct of what's happening in downtown, so you can kind of have peace.
Yeah.
You know.
What do you hope for him, out of curiosity? Like, do you have a hope that he becomes a entrepreneur like yourself?
I can't put this on live video.
No, I mean, we have open discussions about it all the time.
Yeah.
I want him to choose his path, and I will support what he wants to do. The deal I've made with him is I'll let you do whatever you want to do as long as you're moving forward. If I catch you sitting around and being lazy and playing video games, then I'm going to tell you what to do. But I think you're smart enough to understand. And he's had a pretty cool intern journey already at 17 years old. I mean, he worked with me all during the pandemic.
Oh boy, I bet that was
wild. Super wild. And he's seen a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You know, he's seen a lot of cool people. You know, we deal with a lot of cool entertainers and ball players, so he's seen that world. You know, he
is he hinting towards anything that he likes?
I see the entrepreneur. I see the workforce happening. I can see it. He gets up at 8 o'clock. So he went from my company. He was able to land a intern with the Hornets.
Oh, wow.
He was the first high school intern with the Hornets. So he worked through different areas with the Hornets. And now he's working at Super G Mart. I don't know if you know the international grocery store. It's an awesome family, entrepreneurial family that own these monster grocery stores. So
I've actually never heard of that.
Oh, they just opened a big 100,000 square feet in Pineville. Like you walk in there, you lose your mind when you walk in there. And I told him, I said, you want a cool job? You want to go work? I said, you should go work over here. And Peter and Paul and they're great friends of mine that own it. And I said, let them start over here. And they were like, oh my God, Vijay, what do you want us to do with them? I said, start them from ground up. You know, don't give him any benefits because he's my son. I want him to learn how to work with the register. I want him to be able to talk to customers when there's an issue, problem solving, impulse. decision making. Everything I learned in my clothing world is exactly what's going to happen here. And he's worked his way up. And the other day, 2 weeks ago, he came up to me and he goes, Dad, I think I can figure out some ways how to make Super G more money. And I was like, really?
Oh,
I said, let's talk about it.
he's an entrepreneur.
I love,
He's an entrepreneur. That's all. That's all it is. Yeah.
You know, I love debating with people. I love hearing the story. This is what I do all the time. This is how I get educated. I debate with people. I said, sit down, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, well, I want to open an online store over there. I want to do cooking classes over there. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to wholesale to restaurants. I said, wow. I looked at my wife and I was like,
yeah, I'm gonna win.
He's gonna
gonna win.
Just out of curiosity, is this like a Bhojwani, like a internal, like, you know, there's the debate portion of this, obviously, but is it like you guys are fighting for your side type of thing, or
it's not so much of fighting of who's right or who's wrong. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think corporate America is awesome. I think people are built for that. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to taste the entrepreneur side. Their families were not entrepreneurs. If your mom was a doctor, your dad was a doctor, automatically in your head, being a doctor is the correct thing. Yeah. You wouldn't think opening up a gas station is the right thing, even though you might be making the same amount of money.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't see that.
Yeah.
You know, you automatically go. So, you know, that is primarily the case with my wife. Her family was more in the corporate. Her mom worked for the government. She didn't really know the world of entrepreneurship, so she didn't think that it's...
I was just about to ask you what your opinion on that was. So, like, do you feel like people who don't get into entrepreneurship are just people that don't know it exists and don't know how it works? Or maybe they have, like, a charitable bone and they want to work for a nonprofit? But, like, I couldn't imagine being more fulfilled making your dream come true than something I believe in. So it's like, maybe they just don't know it exists. Maybe they don't understand it.
A lot of them they're not educated in it, right? They don't know so much. A lot of them don't know how to start. They don't know, you know, what makes Binaco the real estate company, you know, that we have. What makes us a little different is, number one, we're a total referral business. You know, we refer based. We don't really advertise. And what we do is we only choose a handful of people that we work with, meaning quantity-wise, so we can give them everything we have, and we handhold them and show them how to start. You know, we have people that come to us and say, well, Vijay, we have $500,000 and we really want to open up this bakery. Could you just kind of show us how to do it? You know, and we kind of handhold that person and say, here's the business plan. This is how you make a projection. This is how you go search for a space. Then you got to see what the zoning is. Can you cook in there? Well, you're going to need a hood system. Are you going to need a kitchen? We even take it to where we can help bring the architect to the table, then, you know, get it permitted, then get it built by the contractor, and then even help you with the marketing of how to get it launched. You know, and we actually
full service real estate.
Full service real estate. If you walk down Fifth and Tryon, all those bars, 99% of them are mom and pop.
Yeah.
They're all startups. They were all startups, and look where they are.
Yeah,
it's a different drive. It's a total different drive. This is all I got. I have to make it work.
No choice.
And these guys, they flock together because they're all in the same boat. It doesn't matter if you own this or you own that or you own this. We all have the same drive. We're gonna keep going. It doesn't stop. It's playing real life Monopoly.
Yeah.
You know, for me, this is what I do.
That's what we need. I'm gonna for your birthday. I don't know when your birthday is yet, but I'm gonna get a custom Monopoly board.
Oh man!
And it's just gonna be the Charlotte like some of the Charlotte
cool.
like avenues or something. We're gonna get it done.
Boardwalk
for you,
would have to be what is it? Fourth and Tryon?
Fifth
and Tryon.
Yeah.
That'd be Boardwalk.
I think Boardwalk. So is Blumenthal a sour subject for you, or it's
No.
like okay, just making sure because that's where the start of
Oh no,
everything was.
it's beautiful. I am a big fan of this city.
Yeah.
You know, I've had opportunities to move everywhere or anywhere to do what I do, and I think this is not because I was born here or have skin in the game. Like it is. I tell people all the time, it's still a growing city. We've got a lot of time. You can start anything here, and it will probably work if you put your mind to it. There's a lot of things that this city doesn't have.
doing marketing, we see all kinds of new ideas we would
You
not
wouldn't
have thought
you wouldn't
worked.
believe some of the
Oh,
crazy
I trust
stuff we've
me.
seen launch. Yeah.
I sit and that's what I do. People ask me all the time, like, have you seen this show? Do you watch Netflix? I can't tell you the last time I looked at a TV.
Oh, wow.
Watched a TV.
Yeah.
I know. I would
Don't
rather
look left, by the way.
Yeah, I don't really have a show that I watch. I don't have anything, even this basketball series that's going on, I'll stare at it just because I want to be able to have conversation with somebody else that's, into the NBA. But I love, and my wife will tell you, she gets so annoyed, like, I love practicing starting new businesses.
Huh.
There's so many businesses. I have a book of businesses that I have written and actually exercise the entire process of how to start them
Wow.
and what I would do.
Can I borrow your book?
Yeah.
And have I done? I mean, a lot of them I don't do because you can't do everything.
Sure.
And it's the most randomest things that I see that are voids that are not here.
Yeah.
We just got a cigar lounge in downtown 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
You would think that, especially Charlotte, being a banking capital, you would have thought that Havana would have been there.
Before.
there
30 years
was
ago, yeah.
Cutters.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There was Cutters in the Marriott for a while, but then when Marriott went tobacco free and they blew that whole section out the hotel, then the void was there for the longest time. There's a lot of things that are still not here. That when you go to New York or you go to Chicago or Miami, and you're like,
Yeah, I've been wondering what's going to fill the nightclub void downtown too, because you lost the entire epicenter. I know they're getting a full reno, but like you lost like a third of the night industry.
At least, and the other thing to think
I'm
about.
kind of aged out of that now. I get hungover for 3 days straight. So.
it's just, things change. The trends change, the waves change. I get a lot of questions about nightlife and what I think, and what's the health of downtown. The pandemic has changed a lot.
Sure.
In the world for everybody. Some people have prospered from it. Some people have lost everything. From it, and Uptown is always a big subject that comes up, especially with us, even with Kenny, because we live and breathe, die Uptown. We have a lot of stuff going on there, but it's the built of the city, right? People don't look at it. How's the city built? Uptown or Charlotte in general is built, with the core. There's Uptown, and then everything is built around it. So anywhere you go, you have to cross Uptown. This is not New York, where it's like you can avoid totally everything, and there's an uptown and a downtown and a midtown and this and that, and you'll get left out in a second.
Yeah.
But
we have a core. We have a core.
we have
you
a
can't
core
avoid the
and all these pockets. At some point when you're in this game, or even if you're in the nightlife game, and I talk about nightlife a lot because a lot of our properties, revolve around nightlife. It's not about just opening a bar. That's every guy's dream, really, is to become a DJ or open a bar or own a club or, and I said, I always tell them, I said, you really got to understand this wave, of what people are doing. You got to understand trend setting. You got to understand what people, where the cool people hang out. Like, I mean, I'm 45 years old. Do I still get out at night? Yeah, I do. And not because I want to party. It's because I'm watching what's happening around me. My next development maybe in downtown is going to cater to suck people back this way because I see what's attracting them to go somewhere else. Pockets are hot, South End's super hot. But if you guys were from North Dakota and you came to Charlotte for a convention, you would never know there's a South End.
No.
It'll take you maybe 2 or 3 trips to understand there's a South End. But guess what? You've spent 3 trips worth of money in Uptown, right? So people, they don't look at it like that. Who knows Plaza Midwood that lives in Georgia?
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Right? You come here.
Yeah.
So that you have to understand the real business behind it. How to really penetrate. How to understand. What you're doing.
We've talked about opening a bar several times, and I was always like, only if that's
we're guys and we own a business. I think every 2 guys that own a business together have this conversation at least once a month.
It's a little joke for me, but we're always like,
Thank you, Kenny.
it'll be the 4th business because we know it's not going to be profitable because Reese drinks too much.
That is true.
It's not even that. Believe me, I get it all the time. BJ, let's go open. BJ, let's go. I said, dude, BJ doesn't want to own a bar. BJ's never owned a bar.
Yeah.
BJ can hang out or place you in a position to own a bar, but doesn't want to own a bar.
Yeah.
you know, and I have the same problem. I have a lot of friends. I'd give away everything, or I'd be in there every day. It's just not for me. I want to be on the other side of the table. I enjoy the business. I still get the perks.
Yeah.
You know, of coming
Best of
in
both
and-
worlds.
Yeah. So, it's what you love, you know. But I tell people that want to come to the entrepreneur side, you know, I said, study it, understand it. Don't look at it as I'm just going to open this gas station and this is all I want to do. I said, you should understand exactly how everything in a radius works around you, right? Full vision, not just what is in front of you. Like I know what's happening in South End. I have nothing there. I know exactly what's happening. I know what's happening in all the pockets, what's getting built, who's building it. I hang out with them. I go to lunch with them. I understand why they're doing it or what they want to do, you know, and then I also understand what I have. And I said, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do to make sure that we're still on the map.
Yeah, I mean, down to a convenience store, most people would think, oh, you don't have to put that much effort into a convenience store. But then I argue Quick Trip
Right.
is a marketing genius.
Yeah.
And they've got their construction down to a point where they're up and running in less than 90 days. And
You know who did them, right? So, I've been to this building probably a million times. So I do a lot with Dore, the construction company at the
they
end.
did them?
That's who
I
did
saw their
QTs.
sign, yeah.
I did not know that.
Well,
Oh, wow.
build a lot of them.
Yeah.
They built a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every time I see one of those go up, I think quick, efficient, service, safe.
Amazing.
Immediately.
He thinks something else too, because we used to be on the road a lot with some of our associations, and every time we'd stop at a QT, I'd always get a gas station hot dog.
Oh, really?
Always. It's like my guilty pleasure.
Oh
Like I
my
love
God.
them. Like yeah,
What are those, you know, what I'm a fan of in there? What are those?
the tornadoes.
No, the taquitos.
Taquitos?
Oh, my
Taquitos.
God.
Oh,
Same.
I'm addicted.
Those are good.
My sister's in the gas station world, by the way. You know, if I go back to the story where I started telling you, you know, she eventually branches off and goes and out. She rehabs gas stations.
Wow.
And flips them. She loves doing it. So I know quite a bit about the gas
So
station.
people who
world.
just don't do it right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
grab 'em up.
Yeah, she's really, really good.
It's all
at
about the
what
hot
she
dogs. Vijay, we're running out of time, man.
Oh,
I
man.
feel like I could listen to
We got
your
like half
stories
his
for.
story.
Oh my gosh, I
You
know.
got maybe a quarter.
You know what?
I haven't made it to the real estate world yet.
we are just gonna have to have you back, and
Yeah.
you know, hopefully,
We could have
hopefully it
a
doesn't take.
four-part VJ series.
Yeah,
That'll be
that'll
fun.
be it. That'll be it. And Kenny, you're absolutely invited and required to come as well.
Thank you.
I do have an interesting question before we leave off, and then before we leave off, I always try to end with a funny question. I stall a little bit because so I can think of one. But the interesting question that I have for you, at least I think it's interesting, is you are one of the only developers / entrepreneurs / amazing people, of course, that you know, I can find you at Havana on Saturday at 11 o'clock. You know. And you're one of the only people I think that is present, you know, uptown. Do you feel like your presence up there kind of gives you a sense? You were speaking of the sense of your community, the sense of your circle. Do you feel like that being present, especially at night when people are out partying, because you're not there partying necessarily. I mean, you're having a good time, sure, but still work. Do you feel like that gives you a I don't know how I would describe, but like a sense of understanding of what's going on in that specific community?
100%. I think it's very important to, number one, not forget kind of where you came from. You know, it keeps me grounded, right? I become relatable. I think the people that come there and they see me and they see I'm a regular person, I'm normal, they'll support what I do. You know, I think that's the biggest thing in the world that I tell my family, I tell my friends. I said, it's not about money all the time. You know, it's about the support. You know, if I know I've got two guys that are backing me and rooting for me in anything I do, I don't necessarily need the money in their pocket. I can figure out how to get that. But if I know I have your support, it makes me the most confident person in the world. You know, and that's why I come to those places, not because people are coming up to me and saying, oh man, this is such a cool thing. It's, well, what do you think I can do better? What do you want to see next? What do you think, you know, we're missing from uptown? And people will always come up to me and say, well, we need to have this, and we need to have this, and we need to do this. And I'm like, I think about it.
Yeah, it's like it fans out your spark, and eventually
It does,
starts
because,
to flame up.
You know, we see the same stuff every single day, and sometimes we may overlook something, but then you'll have just a random person walking down the street saying, man, y'all need to do something with that trash can. It's such an eyesore beside a beautiful building. And we're like, damn it. We need to
Yeah.
need
Need
a
to move
compactor
that
over there.
Noted.
Just
Yeah.
did this yesterday.
Check.
Literally, this guy, random dude, man, you got this beautiful building and you got these ugly rollout dumpsters sitting beside. Guess what we were doing yesterday?
Yeah.
We were
moving dumpsters.
reformatting how to put a most randomest person ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes
He
it
could
just
be a
happens that
consultant.
way.
He should
Yeah.
be.
That's why we call it boots to the ground. I mean, we are hands on. I
Yeah.
mean, we're reachable. I speak to everybody. I have no problem.
All right, so I have. It's not really a funny question, but it's more of a dream question. What's the one business inside your book?
Yes,
that you
that's exactly what I was
that
gonna
you
ask.
wish you
The
would have
Book of
started
Secrets.
that
The
you
Book of
hadn't- that you
Secrets.
hadn't yet.
In my book,
In your
Yeah.
book of secrets.
this is funny.
The one that like gets at you.
For some reason, I have a passion in the food industry.
Okay.
Number one, because a lot of the food products cannot be replaced, right? So
Sure.
I've always wanted to own a rice company.
A rice company.
Rice company.
Or a distribution company, if not growing my own rice or owning a rice farm, at least importing rice from all over the world and distributing it, like a rice house,
Huh.
basically.
Interesting.
I can probably sit for hours and recite to you how to do it, where to get it. I've done so much research. You can ask my wife.
Would you own the entire supply chain?
Everything.
You'd buy a farm. You'd buy
Everything.
Okay.
I literally had a conversation. We were talking about
Yeah,
this today.
yesterday.
My friend owns a noodle. He makes noodles locally here, like down the block, actually. On Wilkinson, the factory's on Wilkinson, manufacturing plant. He supplies noodles to U.S. Foods. And I was like, man, I really want to do that. Like, I don't know why.
That is supply rice to U.S. Foods.
So wild, right?
Yeah, I mean, people
That
ask
is
me
so
this
random.
stuff all.
That's
Yeah,
so random.
that's my dream, is to own this big warehouse with probably 25 trucks, and I just want to have routes
Produce
of rice and supply it all over the world. I've even
I'm
went to
dumbfounded by
Charleston.
that. Like,
It's
that's-
even-
I've met
pivotal.
the people that bring where the rice comes in on Charleston. I know all the ports that bring in the rice. I've been to Texas. I've seen the Tex-Mex spots.
Yeah.
I've seen everything.
And even if rice became like plagued for some reason, you could pivot to a different item. It wouldn't even matter.
Rice it's something that can almost never be replaced, right? I know they
That's so
tried to put plastic in it at one point or do some like indoor growing, and it's not gonna.
And would that be a passion, or would it be like an entrepreneurial, like mathematical decision because you know it's profitable and consistent?
I think it's one of those like challenging, like I can penetrate the entire U.S. and supply rice to everybody in the U.S. as far as I can. Like it's just random.
so crazy to me.
Yeah, and maybe one day I.
That is not
will.
what I thought he was
Oh,
gonna
I've
say,
got a
by the way.
name.
Like-
I've got a bag. I've got everything made. I've got the bags. My wife, if she ever run into her, she'll tell you. She goes, I literally invested nights and nights. I've got a rice brand. I've got a logo. I've got everything you can imagine.
Well, when are you starting it, man? I'm ready to see the VJ bag.
The VJ bag.
It's actually going to be called Vijaya. My sister's name is Jaya, Jaya. So Vijaya. I've got the bag and everything. The 2 elephants, the whole logo. Like
That'll
I've
be
got.
dope, though. Let's do it.
That is not what I expected you to say, and I'm completely dumbfounded. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
people. I mean, I think about the world of entrepreneurship. I mean, right, left.
But see, I like this because like passion pushes people in the wrong direction sometimes and makes them not profitable. And
Yeah.
like this is like more of a challenge, absolutely profitable.
I do this. So I'll ask you guys a question while we're here, just to make it a little bit fun.
A bar. No, I'm just kidding.
No, this is what we spoke about. Also, we were standing around in a circle, and the question was that if the salary wasn't an issue, call it $5 million a year, if you could change your occupation, what would it be that you would always want to do that you're not doing now? And I'll go first.
That you're not doing now.
That you're not doing now.
Okay.
Something that totally and don't let the salary.
Yeah.
You know.
You make unlimited money, whatever. Yeah, we yeah.
What is it that you really would want to do? And I think the question was thrown out because they really want to. It's a quick way to understand somebody,
Sure.
right? I know what you do now,
Yeah.
but what do you really want to do, right? So I went first and I said, I would love to be an air traffic controller.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I love working under pressure. I
Yeah.
do the best under pressure.
Interesting. That sounds very stressful. I
I
would.
love working under pressure.
So I would. Salary's no issue. So
Yeah.
so does nonprofit count or no?
Sure.
I can't do nonprofit. Or
So I would
can?
definitely be a zookeeper. Because I'm really good at managing wild animals.
That is true. That is true. I prefer to myself as a giant gorilla. Thank you. But so truthfully, something that I'm very passionate about. He knows. What do you think my answer would be? I'll tell you if he gets it. But what do you think? My
Marine
answer would be?
life of some kind.
Marine life? No.
No?
So something I'm very passionate about. It goes. But let me give him a hint and see if he can get it. It goes back to my previous career.
Personal training.
Yeah, goes back to that type of thing.
Help people stay in shape.
Well, it goes along with that. So something that I'm really passionate about, back to your point about food, is that our food supply in the United States is atrocious. And the other thing, particularly though, is that our food education is atrocious. And so if you take any 16-year-old off the street, or I mean, hopefully you don't do that. Hopefully you speak to them in a school or something reasonable. But if you speak to them and you ask them things like, what are micronutrients, what are macronutrients, what are proteins, fats, and carbs, what are what's in rice and things like that, 9 out of 10 of them get it wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just because the lack of food education. As a consequence of that, Americans in general are very unhealthy in adulthood. So I would do something in the lines of food education. So that's the truth. But it's a great question, Kenny. You're not off the hook, man. Let's hear you.
You got to answer this right too.
Yep.
Your boss is right there.
Yeah.
Well, I was to say,
I would still work for Vijay.
we did this at like a dinner type thing. My answer sounds superficial, especially here in y'all's, but I would do something like entertainment host. Like I like pop culture and stuff, but
that doesn't sound superficial. That sounds
Okay.
awesome. I mean, the world needs entertainment and
Right?
entertainers. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great
Something
answer.
It'd be a very boring world without it.
Yeah,
Right? Okay.
for sure.
Seriously.
Okay.
Kenny's the party starter. That's
He
who it
is.
is. So speaking of, it's time to party on to lunch, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us. And congratulations, you guys are officially certified business legends.
Okay.
Thanks.
I think VJ probably got that certification a while back.
Vijay's like, what? I don't need your certificate.